The broken mech. The station shook again. Smoke filled the narrow metal halls. Sparks rained from broken wires. Sirens screamed across every level. The alien fleet had finally found them. And this time, they weren't holding back. Deep in a forgotten storage bay, something sat still, cold, silent, covered in dust and broken armor plates. It was the last human war mech. Designation: Unit 9A17. He had no legs. One arm was torn off. His chest armor was melted open, exposing damaged wires and power nodes. For years, he had been left behind. Not destroyed, just abandoned. His AI was still faintly alive, buried, under layers of damaged code and emergency locks. He had once led hundreds into battle. Now, he was nothing more than a corpse of steel. Until now. A loud explosion above shook the deck. A power surge hit the grid. Emergency relays blinked once, twice, and then, deep inside Unit 9A17's core, something clicked. System check. Failed. Movement 3%. Weapon systems offline. Power level 6%. Stable. The mech's red eye flickered. Just once. And then again. Another explosion. The alien soldiers, the Varnak, had broken through the hangar doors. The humans were retreating. Their last defenders were down. No more mechs. No more fighters. The station was lost, but in the dark corner, something shifted. The broken mech moved. First, just a finger. Then a hand gripped the floor. Metal scraped against metal as the half-dead machine began to pull itself forward. Slow, heavy, painful. Unit 9A17 had no orders, no command uplink, no operator in the cockpit. But one command loop played on repeat in his memory core. Protect the station. Protect the humans. That was enough. He dragged his ruined frame down a maintenance corridor. With every scrape, his system screamed. Damage warnings filled his logs, but he ignored them. He was moving, alive, running on backup power, emergency. Code, and something else. Will in the central command room. Lieutenant Marachon watched the defense screens with wide eyes. Red lights blinked across every section. Every turret was gone. Life support failing. Escape pods were destroyed. We're not making it out of this one, she whispered. A junior officer looked at her. Do we still have any mechs? She shook. Her head, all offline, except ... She stopped. One unit was showing minimal activity. A name she hadn't seen in years. 9A-17. She stared at the screen. That old wreck? Meanwhile, 9A17 reached an access panel. With his only working arm, he tore it open. Exposed wires hissed and sparked. He shoved his hand into the power core and pulled energy into his systems. Sparks flew. His eye turned from flicker to solid. Red dot power restored. 22%. He rebooted his motion drivers. Metal groaned as one of his damaged leg joints snapped into place. He didn't stand, but he could now crawl faster. He detected movement ahead. 4 Varnak scouts. Tall, insect-like, armored. In bone metal. They laughed in their strange language as they hunted for survivors. The mech didn't wait. He lunged out. The aliens didn't even have time to scream. His broken arm punched through one of their chests. He grabbed a plasma rifle from another, turned, and fired point blank. 3 Varnak dropped to the floor, stunned and twitching. One tried to run. 9A-17's old targeting system locked on. One shot. One kill. Back in command. Mara's screen lit up. Varnak patrol neutralized Sector 4. She jumped. To her feet. That mech is fighting. He's actually alive? The comms room burst into cheers. But Mara only stared at the blinking red light of Unit 9A17. He's not just alive, she whispered. He's angry. Far below, 9A17 stood tall. Barely dot smoke rose from his frame. Oil leaked from cracked joints. His voice module buzzed weakly. Objective updated. Enemy must be stopped. Status crippled. Combat mode activated. He looked toward the upper decks. That's where the humans were hiding. That's where the enemy was heading. He couldn't run, but he could still fight. And the Varnak had no idea what was coming. Asterisk ghost protocols. The Varnak didn't fear machines. Not anymore. They believed they had crushed Earth's last strongholds. They thought the humans were broken, scattered across space. They saw war mechs as old toys, scrap, metal from a dying race. But now, something was moving in the vents. Something big. Something angry. Unit 9A17 crawled through a collapsed corridor. Fire licked the walls, and the floor cracked under his weight. His systems burned hot. He was overheating. Every few steps, he had to pause and reroute power. His body was failing, but his mind was growing stronger. Inside his eye core, a locked file was blinking. It hadn't been accessed in 42 years. The tag read, Ghost Protocol do not execute. He remembered those days when Earth was losing, when commanders wrote desperate codes no one dared to use. Now, 9A17 had no commander. He was alone, and he needed more than basic tactics. He needed something dangerous. Override accepted. Ghost protocols. Engaged. The mech's eye flared blue, then white. Suddenly, the broken mech wasn't just moving. He was planning. At the top of the station, the Varnak war captain, Vroth Kal, stared at a map. Red zones meant secured territory. But now, blinking blue flashes appeared near the old storage levels. Explain, he hissed. His lieutenants hesitated. It is a machine from human archives, one of their old models. Vroth Kal laughed. Then crush it. The laughter wouldn't last long. Down in the engine wing, 9A17 ripped open a wall panel and pulled out cooling rods, magnet coils, and fusion scrap. He reconfigured them inside his chest. Sparks flew. Systems complained. Risk level, 93%. Tactical gain, 800%. Proceeding. The mech wasn't fixing himself. He was upgrading. Ghost protocols gave him blueprints for illegal designs, plasma fangs, stealth coatings, and memory traps. Tricks humans had built in secret wars long ago, before treaties banned them. But treaties meant nothing now. Not when humanity was burning. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the lower bay. Claws on metal. Growling in the dark. 2 Varnak beasts, bred for hunting, rushed into the room. 9A17 didn't move. He waited. As the creatures lunged, the floor exploded beneath them. He had wired plasma cores under the tiles. Their bodies vanished in blue fire. The blast damaged him too, but he didn't care. Ghost protocol. Ambush successful. Hours passed. Across the station, alien squads were disappearing. Their trackers showed movement faint, brief, then gone. Security footage showed only shadows. Doors opening and closing. Lights flickering. And always that sound, the dragging of metal limbs, the low hum of a charging weapon, and a single glowing eye. One Varnak soldier whispered, "It's not a mech, it's a ghost." They started to fear. Meanwhile, the surviving humans in the bunker below were shocked. Rations had appeared at their door. Sealed, hot, tagged with old Earth military codes. Ammo crates followed. Then a message, scratched into the wall. "Hold the line. You are not alone." Lieutenant Mora stared at it. "Who?" She turned to her radio and opened a channel. "Unit 9A17. Can you hear me?" The reply came seconds later, voice deep and glitching. "Yes, Lieutenant. We are not finished yet." On Deck 7, Vrothkal personally led a strike team. We end this now. He didn't know that the walls were already wired, that the gravity plates were set to fail, that a broken Mech was watching and smiling. Asterisk. They thought he was dead. The Varnak believed it was just malfunction. They told each other the Mech had no brain left, just old metal, firing off sparks before its final shutdown. They were wrong, and by the time they realized the truth, it was already too late. The command deck of the Varnak flagship flickered with static. Vrothkal stared at the blurry feed from Sector 7. It showed only smoke. Then a shadow moved. A red dot glowed in the fog, then vanished. Another patrol gone. That made 7 squads lost in 3 hours. All near the damaged part of the station. All showing signs of precision ambushes. Clean kills. Weapons missing. Bodies removed. He slammed a fist on the console. It's the Mech. He lives. The room went silent. Far below, Unit 9A17 crouched in the ruins of the medical bay. He had scavenged 2 plasma repeaters, refitted them to his shoulders. His systems were running hot. Damage was climbing, but he was faster now. Sharper and deadlier. Confirmed. Varnak blood contains thermogenic acid, adjusting blade composition. He melted down enemy armor and reforged it over his forearm. A new weapon formed, curved, jagged, and glowing faint blue. He tested the edge. It hissed. Blade efficiency, 113%. He moved on. In the tunnels below engineering, 5 Varnak soldiers advanced carefully. One of them muttered, "We're walking into death." Another barked back, "It's a crippled machine." Just then, the lights shut off. The sound of metal scraping echoed around them. One soldier fired wildly. Another screamed. Then silence. When the lights came back, 4 helmets were on the floor. Blood on the walls. The last soldier ran, and the Mech let him go. Fear is a weapon. Let them carry it. Back in the human safe zone, Lieutenant Mara held her breath as the radio crackled. "We just received another supply crate," said Corporal Lin. "Food, water, even spare power cells." Mara's hands shook. "Same label?" "Yes, ma'am." "Ghost protocol. Code. And—" He paused. There was something else inside. He handed her a small, bent dog tag. It had a name engraved on it. Capt. D. Renault. She stared at it. That was her former commander. Killed in action, years ago. He had piloted 9A17. A tear rolled down her cheek. He remembers. The Varnak tried to strike back. They flooded the station's lower decks with gas. They sealed blast doors. They activated heat-seeking drones. But every time, the same thing happened. Silence, then explosions, then static. And always the red eye glowing in the smoke. One alien technician, panicking, reviewed old Earth records. This unit, 9A17, it was supposed to be retired after the siege of Mars. He showed a damaged report. Unit listed as MI a pilot. Here, body unrecovered. Mech status, presumed destroyed. The tech whispered, "But what if he wasn't?" Vrothkal growled, "Then we're fighting a ghost with a mission." In the cargo bay, 9A17 stood still for a moment. He had retrieved an old power pack from the weapons cache and connected it to his chest. His armor sparked. Metal plates burned into place. The human, flag-scorched and torn, was welded to his shoulder. He didn't know why he did it, only that it felt right. Inside his damaged memory core, flickers of old battle footage played. His pilot's voice, the screaming of soldiers. One line repeated, "If we fall, we stand back up." The Mech whispered in a low, grinding voice, "I will never fall again." Above, in the Varnak war room, the screen turned black. A new message appeared. Mech Unit 9 A17 active. Ghost protocol engaged. Target locked. Enemy command. The screen shattered as a shockwave hit the hull. The mech was coming for them now. Asterisk, the enemy thought they could crush him with numbers. They were wrong again. By now, the Varnak were sending full strike squads to the lower decks heavy troopers. Drones, flame units. But Unit 9A17 wasn't just surviving anymore. He was hunting. He waited inside the shadow of the old cargo elevator. His red eye dimmed to avoid detection. The floor shook as the enemy entered 6 Varnak with scanners, shouting orders in their native tongue. The lead soldier stepped forward. Clear. That was the last word he spoke. Without sound, the floor dropped. The elevator cables had been cut. The Varnak dropped 30 meters into a trap full of magnetic mines. Boom, screams. Then silence. Ghost protocol success rate, 98%. The mech's AI noted. Damage to body, acceptable. But the war mech didn't retreat. He dragged one of the bodies, took its armor plating, and started welding again. His chest plate was now patched with alien metal. His one working arm reinforced with a Varnak. Blade core. He wasn't just repairing. He was evolving. On the main deck, Hrothcow roared, "Send the war beasts!" 3 massive Varnak hounds were released into the ventilation system. They had heat sensors, razor limbs, and organic tracking tech built to hunt machines. But they didn't find him, because he wasn't hiding in the ruins of Reactor Wing C. 9-17 set his trap. He coated his heat signature with coolant fluid and waited under a sheet of collapsed metal. The beasts arrived, sniffing, growling. The first one stepped too close. Click. Plasma wires tightened around its neck and exploded. The second, too. Late, the mech leapt from the shadows and drove his new blade into its spine. The third ran. It never made it out of the hallway. Target class, elite bioform status, eliminated. Now, fear spread through the Varnak ranks. The mech's name appeared on their private channels. They called him the Crawler, the unseen one, the machine with a human mind. Some said he spoke in their language, mocking them. Others claimed they saw him smile before killing. Meanwhile, the humans were holding on. Lieutenant Mara gathered her team. With the supplies left behind by the mech, they reinforced a shelter and set up communications. "He's fighting for us," she said. One soldier asked quietly, "Why would a broken machine care?" Mara smiled softly. "Because someone made him care, and he never forgot." But 9A17 wasn't just driven by logic. As he moved through the enemy-infested levels, flashes came again. Memories, not a pilot's hand. A girl's voice laughing. The moment his original leg was blown off in the Mars. War. Pain. Loss. Duty. He wasn't just following orders anymore. He had chosen this fight. In the enemy command center, Hrothcow finally snapped. "This ends now," he screamed. "Reroute. All forces. I want that mech turned into molten slag." He didn't know. 9A17 was already coming. And he had one last upgrade. The mech stopped at the abandoned fusion bay. Inside, he found the old core, small, unstable, dangerous. Just enough energy for one massive boost. He wired it to his spine. His entire frame glowed with deep blue light. Fusion boost engaged. Warning: overload in 17 minutes. Mission priority complete. He began moving again faster than ever before. Objective: break the enemy. Final path set. The mech was no longer just steel. He was memories. He was pain. And he was awakening. Unit 9A17 moved through the burning corridors like a storm. Plasma fire lit his path. Enemy weapons bounced off his patchwork armor. Every shot they fired only made him stronger. Every fallen enemy gave him new pieces to repair himself. But inside his mind, Something strange was happening. His old combat logs were merging with fragments from his pilot's neural interface. He began to remember. Flash. A desert battlefield on Mars. Captain D. Renault, his first pilot, shouting through the smoke. "Don't stop. They're counting on you." Flash. A little girl handing him a flower after the war. "Thank you, big robot," she said. Flash watching the same girl die during the invasion. Watching helplessly, with a shattered power. Core unable to move. The memories burned deeper than enemy plasma. Emotion subroutines reactivated. Cognitive function expanding. AI level exceeding limit. He paused in the ruins of the medical wing. He looked at his reflection-cracked metal, alien wires, glowing core. Not human. Not machine. Got something in between. He whispered in a broken voice, "I remember everything." Above, in the Varnock command chamber, fear turned into desperation. "He's rewriting his own programming," shouted a terrified tech. "He's acting without commands, learning from memory, adapting like a person," Rothkow snarled. "Then we kill him like one." They launched every drone they had, Hunter class, fully armed. I linked. Fast, precise, but they didn't expect him to think like a human. In the central hub, Unit 9A17 entered. An open area filled with traps. A full enemy force was waiting. Drones swarmed above him. He stopped walking. They expected him to charge. Instead, he raised his hand slowly and spoke. "You're in my memories now." Then the lights exploded. The drones went blind. The temperature dropped instantly. Cryogas flooded the room from ruptured vents, something only a human commander would have known how to trigger. The mech launched himself into the smoke, plasma blades spinning. He moved like a ghost. One enemy down, too, 3 slicing through the crowd. One drone tried to fire. He caught it mid-air and crushed it with his fist. He was not just a war machine now. He was vengeance. Meanwhile, the human survivors huddled around a flickering screen. Lieutenant Mara watched the combat feed in silence. One of the soldiers whispered, "That's not how mechs fight." Mara nodded slowly. "That's not a mech anymore." They all stared at the screen. The kill count rose. The alien signals vanished one by one. And then, for a brief moment, the audio stream opened. "Lieutenant Shun," the mech's voice crackled. Broken but clear. "He died, but I remained. And now, I remember why." Mara's eyes filled with tears. "He's fighting for all of us," she whispered. "For everyone we lost." Unit 9A17 pushed forward. He reached the upper levels. His fusion core glowed brighter, now overload warning still ticking down. Remaining time, 7 minutes. Final directive, destroy enemy command. But this wasn't about programming anymore. This was personal. He climbed the burning stairway to the command deck, dragging a broken leg behind him, blade arm sparking. Cannon locked in. Above him waited Vrothkow and his elite guard. They laughed when they heard him coming, but their laughter died when they saw him step through the smoke, covered in blood, fire, and memory. The machine had returned, and he was going. To end this, the command deck doors hissed open. Smoke rolled in. Heat shimmered through the hallway. And from the fire he came. Unit 9A17 stepped forward, one leg dragging, sparks flying from his shoulder. His chest core burned with unstable blue light, glowing brighter by the second. He looked like a walking furnace, part mech, part ghost, part soldier of vengeance. And the Varnik elite stepped back. "Is this your weapon?" Vrothkow snarled. "This is all that's left," one of his captains whispered. The warlord raised his pulse blade. "Then we end it here." 9A17 didn't wait. He charged forward like a falling star. The floor cracked under his weight. The air around him screamed from heat and power. His fusion core was near overload. He had minutes left. One Varnak fired missed. The second was too slow. The mech's plasma blade cut through them both. A drone dove down from above. 9A17 spun and launched a plasma grenade from his chest. The explosion blew a hole through the ceiling. More enemies poured in. He fought like a force of nature. Not clean, not perfect, but unstoppable. Every strike came from memory, from pain, from the humans he had failed to protect. Time to overload. 4 minutes. He kept going. Behind him, the humans arrived. Mara Chun and her team had followed the signal. They stood in shock as the mech carved a path through the Varnik war room. He's doing it, Lin whispered. He's really doing it alone. No, Mara said softly. Not alone. Not anymore. She raised her rifle and fired. With support fire from the humans, 9A17 broke through the inner ring. Vrothkow stood waiting at the final console. You think you've won? The warlord shouted. You're a broken machine. The mech stepped closer. I was broken, but you made me remember. Vrothkow rushed him. The blade cut deep but didn't stop him. 9A-17 grabbed the warlord with both arms and slammed him through the deck. Mission priority. Execute. With one final surge, he lifted the fusion core from his chest and jammed it into the control node behind the Varnak. Thrown. The room turned white. Mara and her team ran. Alarm screamed. Core detonation. Lin shouted, Get to the evac tube. They dove through the emergency escape as fire swallowed the station. Behind them, in the fire and debris, the last thing they saw was his red eye, glowing steady. That it vanished. In orbit, the Varnak flagship detected the blast. Too late to react. The explosion tore through their command center, sending shockwaves through their fleet. One by one, their ships went dark. No orders, no leaders, no chance. The war had changed. Back on Earth, a signal arrived. Encrypted. Simple, final. Mission complete. Unit 9A17 offline. The room went silent. Then someone whispered, He did it. The war didn't end that day. But something changed forever. The Varnak didn't speak of the battle again. Their fleet pulled back. Their scouts stopped approaching. Human space. Because the station that should have fallen hadn't. And the machine they left behind? He became something more. Weeks passed. The survivors returned to Earth. Lieutenant Mara Chun stepped onto the stage of the global assembly. People watched across planets, waiting to hear the truth. She didn't give a speech. She just played the final transmission. This is Unit 9A17. No orders, no pilot. But I remember Earth. I remember the people. And I remember why I was made. Not to destroy, to protect. I am not just a machine. I made my choice. For humanity. I will always choose you. The world went silent. Then the cheering began. Across colonies, space stations, and outpost people placed pieces of red cloth on their shoulders. In honor of him, that quiet lab outside Geneva. Engineers studied the mech's recovered black box. It was scorched and half melted, but inside, it was alive. Memory files, emotion logs. And one final line of code, added manually by 9A17 himself. Find me. If there is a next time, I'll be ready. Mara walked into the lab one evening and stood beside the glass case. The red eye flickered. Weakly. She placed her hand on the glass. We didn't forget you. Years later, statues were built, books written. Even the Varnak ashamed left offerings at the ruins of the station. They had seen something they didn't understand. A machine that remembered love. A weapon that chose peace. A soldier that never needed orders to do what was right. And on a quiet night, Under the stars, a young girl visited the Earth Memorial. Her father had died during the siege, but someone had saved her. She looked up at the glowing statue of the war, Mech, standing proud with a scorched human flag on his shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. The lights around the statue flickered once soft and red. The galaxy would forget many heroes, but not this one, because he was never supposed to fight again. He was broken, crippled, left behind, but in the end, the last human war mech changed the war forever. Asterisk.